How many consecutive years have you made the exact same New Year's resolution? At the beginning of the year, you're full of motivation, optimism, and you convince yourself that this year will be different. Because you're finally going to get into better shape, start that side business up that you keep putting off, and just get your life in some form of order. However, the only reason that you're able to make the same resolution year after year is because it's like watching your favourite movie for the 400th time. You know exactly how it ends, but you watch it anyway. Because after only a few months into the year, your motivation goes missing, the optimism you once had turns into hope, and you finally succumb to accepting that you know exactly how this movie ends too. So there's always next year, you tell yourself, knowing full well that this pattern will repeat itself again next year, because deep down, you know you will never attain this mystical life that you dream of. Well, if any of that sounds familiar, there is a huge chance that you might be stuck in a cycle of self-sabotage. But cycles can be broken. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what self-sabotage is, why we do it, and I'm going to give you a tool to help you to stop doing it in the future. Hello, I'm Sean, a professional coach, and I've worked with hundreds of people all over the world, and I've helped them to turn the life they want into the life they have. Many of my clients have been seasoned self-sabotagers, so I hope this video helps you. Now, you'll be delighted to know that at one point or another, everyone self-sabotages their own success. Even the most wealthiest and most successful people have a tendency to get in their own way. And this is because it's built into our neurobiology. It's what makes us human. So let me explain. The roots of self-sabotage are actually part of an ancestral adaptation that thankfully have allowed us to progress and develop as a species. So in order to understand self-sabotage a little better, let's break it up into the two core principles that drive our survival as a species: attaining rewards and avoiding threats. In the most simplest of forms, when we attain a reward, our brain rewards us with that chemical that we all love called dopamine. It's the chemical that's released when we have sex, when we eat our favourite food, or when we have our first pint after a long day at work. And that little boost of dopamine makes us want to repeat that particular behaviour over and over again to get the same outcome or reward. And the reason why we do this is because our survival as a species largely depends on maximising rewards, which is exactly why our brains are wired to seek rewards and attain them as frequently as possible. Now, learning to avoid threats is an essential survival skill for both humans and animals. However, animals only have to worry about physical survival. Us humans have to think about maintaining our psychological well-being. Now, you might have heard of the fight or flight response in these particular situations. Fight simply is when we think we can defeat the threat. Flight is our default reaction when we don't think we can defeat the threat. However, not many people are aware of this, but there's actually a third response, and it's freeze. And this is the response that tends to happen when we're far too overwhelmed to choose either fight or flight. Now, for humans, freezing allows us to temporarily numb ourselves from psychological discomfort, and we do this quite simply in the hope that the outcome won't hurt as much. And this will explain why seasoned self-sabotagers will do absolutely nothing to change an unpleasant situation, like ending things with that girl that you know you're not even interested in, or quitting the job that you keep saying you hate. Instead, you're freezing, doing absolutely nothing, trying to avoid the potential threat. But the problem with that, by repeating this behaviour or action, or more so inaction, pretty soon the fear of potential threat will just keep you stuck. And then you become reluctant to reach for new opportunities that can help you to become unstuck. So for putting all of this in a very simple sentence, self-sabotage occurs when our drive to avoid threat is higher than our desire to attain rewards. Culturally, self-sabotage can show up very differently for each individual, and this happens because self-sabotage itself doesn't operate on the surface, it works behind the scenes in our subconscious mind. And that's why we're often oblivious to self-sabotage, even when we are self-sabotaging. Think about it for a second. Have you ever done something that you know you shouldn't, and immediately after stopped and asked yourself, why did I just do that? That's self-sabotage right there. It tends to show up when we're at our most vulnerable and having a really tough time. When self-sabotage keeps getting in our way, it can really make us feel like shit. It can drain our motivation and really lower our self-esteem. So what's the answer to this very problematic concept that millions of people seem to struggle with all around the world? Well, I want to offer you up a solution to this, but don't be confused or fooled by the simplicity. Every Sunday evening, I want you to spend some time reflecting back on the week that you've had. I want you to use this time to document and observe your behaviour throughout the week, and pay specific attention to the stresses that you had during your week. Those are the threats that we spoke about earlier. How did you handle said stresses or threats? Did you fight, did you flight, or did you freeze? Or did you look for distractions to seek rewards, such as social media, computer games, or maybe nights out? And I want you to use this time to think about the thoughts that followed these particular threats and behaviours. Was it action that followed, or inaction? Whatever it was, just write it all down. And by doing this every Sunday, over time you'll start seeing patterns of behaviour repeating themselves. These behaviours will show you how self-sabotage is showing up in your life on a daily basis. Consistently using this method will help you to rewrite the ending of your own movie. But it takes time. You've probably spent years, if not decades, self-sabotaging, so it's not just going to disappear overnight. Because real, long-lasting change happens over time. Now, if you have any questions about self-sabotage, leave them in the comment section. And if you require any additional support in the shape of one-to-one coaching, then feel free to book your free discovery call with the link in the description box. Otherwise, like the video if you found it valuable, consider subscribing if you're new, and I hope this video helps the people that need it most.